All right, here we go. Back with more Final Fantasy V Spoof. If you're back for more, then I'll give you more. Again, this is not safe for work. Do mind that NSFW title tag in the title. This is not something that you're going to be watching around sensitive individuals, and even I might be a little bit too sensitive for some of the material in here, as you can see by my job choices. Black Mage, not a great, in my opinion, not a great renaming of it. Churchy for White Mage is okay, although I'm sure that's offensive to some people. Let's take a look at the rest of the jobs that we've unlocked and their descriptions. Knight protects hurt friends. That's not a change on the job title, and protects hurt friends is a slight change from what it does say. Protects near-death allies or something like that. Brawler, this is the monk. It brawls and counterattacks. Brawls means that it can do big damage when there's no weapons equipped. And then counterattack, that's a built-in innate ability. Klepto, of course, is the thief class. Hold, cancel to dash, see it in passages. Those are the thief's passive abilities. Churchy uses the power of ignorance and the placebo effect. Yeah, the Black Mage, the Mexican, and yeah, interesting. I'm not quite, I guess the hat maybe. Blue Mage, unoriginal, uses monsters techniques. Again, I'll keep my commentary safe for work, but I'll let the screen do the talking. And this is the Bear class. This is just the Freelancer class is another name for that. So I'm picking up a little bit of AP in my various classes, but we're going to head on over to Tool. We just finished the Wind Shrine, and now we can meet Zoc. His name is Zoc, at least in the original version. I'm not sure what his name is going to be here, so we will find out together. Again, this is one that I am playing and recording at the same time. Not typical of my normal LPs for Final Fantasy 1 ROM hacks, but FF5, it appears that there has not been many changes. There have not been many changes to the actual gameplay, so I won't need to come back and do recording in post, because I know pretty much where everything is. And we found him. This is normally Zoc, but it is Visker here. And Visker, I believe, was a regular customer of Lena's, if I remember, every Tuesday or something, a regular Tuesday customer. Satsu is, I guess, the pimp for Lena. Okay, we have to go through the Torna Canal. And that must be a 2002 thing with the OR stuff. Feel free to rest. Now, normally you rest, and then there's a cutscene. So we'll see what the cutscene looks like. And I guess one of the biggest challenges in making this work, if you're totally reworking the text, is you have to time it around. And I presume, again, that none of the animations have changed. We do get the cutscene, but I'm sure the content has been changed. So you have to kind of time your dialogue and time your punchlines around the original punchlines. So maybe that's easier than said than done, but I'm imagining that would be a pretty tough part of this job, of making a spoof hack like this. Because characters have little animated reactions of jumping up and down or opening their eyes wide, or little sweat drops coming off of them, like very anime style. And here we have a remembrance of Butts' family, his father. Dorgan, that has not been changed. Dorgan is his father's name, I think. And Stella is his mother's name, so there's the reference to his father, so I guess that's what Butts was reminded of. So a little bit of textual consistency, which I have to applaud. Obviously, I don't love the overtones of domestic violence right here. And again, I guess I should say that I don't really approve of... Don't assume that I approve of anything that you see in this one. This is I'm trying to make this just as a record of what this hack looks like. It has been around for a very long time. It's falling into the realm of classic, and it is of my favorite game of all time. So even though I don't necessarily agree with the content, Okay, the head, that's an interesting one to put in. I don't know if that specific was there, but the thought was there. But he is used a lot in this translation by RPGE. And I'm guessing that it's oh, okay. Weird. I'm thinking that's because of some words or some noises in the Japanese that they didn't really have a good translation for. So some of the kind of in Japanese, there's a lot of kind of nonverbal cues and things that they use in their language. Not that I know Japanese, but one of the few things that I have heard about is if you listen to Japanese language on anime and things, you'll find more of that. And I'm thinking they were trying to work those in, but I think the closest they could get was a he in English when they were writing those in. That's just a guess from me. Anyway, he gives us the key to the Torna Canal, and we can continue. And after we pick up a level for the mages, I will change probably Butts to the Thief class and have him pick up the dash ability. And then while he's the Thief class, we can use the dash, of course. The problem there is the Thief is a tough job to use at this point in the game because you do not have access to buying daggers or knife-type weapons yet. We do have one dagger. We do have one dagger to share with the party. Black mages can equip the dagger. The white mage cannot. And the white mage that I have, Lena, does not have anything right now. Really nice flail-type weapon, which is like a staff. White mages can equip the flail. It's kind of one of the 2 or 3 weapons in the game that the white mage can equip. There's only a couple of the flail-type weapons. And the white mage would keep that equipped for most of the game, except for using the heal staff for free healing. But the white mage would keep that weapon equipped until the end of World 2-ish, when you find the next one, the Morning Star. Yeah, okay, so just more of that. More of the pirates and drug jokes. All right. And another cutscene here. We're still in the part of the game where it is a little bit cutscene heavy. And for that, I do apologize. There's a lot of cutscenes. This is where most of the text is going to be. Now, as of this recording, the README of this game says that the translation goes up to the Earth Crystal, unlocking the Earth Crystal, and then from there it stops. But in future versions, it will be extended through the end of the game. But this is dated much later than the original README was. And so I'm not sure if it was ever actually finished. I guess I assume that it has been, but the README suggests that at the time of the README being written. Okay. I don't see the word urethra used in video games very often. Okay, there's Lena. And this otherwise very sweet and tender, sensitive scene is turned obscene. I don't know if that is quite so funny, Galef. I don't know if that's as funny as you seem to think it is. There's a couple of nice screen grabs in here, probably. I guess this will have been worth it because of the little joke about Zofar not having a girlfriend, and maybe someone should emulate a girlfriend for him. Very much brings me back to 2002. Yeah, Lena has to go find her next customer across the Torna Canal. I believe she is supposed to go talk to the Walrus people, or the Waltz, King of Waltz, who has the water crystal. I believe is where we're supposed to be heading. Towards that water crystal. And in the Torrent Canal, here's another quick cutscene while we unlock it. Again, the story in this game is, I mentioned this in the last video, very, very heavily front-loaded to the first chapter, the first act, I should say, World 1. After that, the story, there are a few story sequences and a few dialogue scenes. They aren't really cutscenes or FMV scenes, but there are a few more dialogue sequences. But most of them are in the first couple hours of the game here. And yeah, that is the name of their ability. Is that? And there's Faith. Is there? Now I should have moved the female characters to the back row. It doesn't really matter for this battle because these guys are all weak to lightning elemental magic. But one of the cues in this game that indeed Ferris is a woman. It's a pretty obscure little clue. It's a pretty obscure little clue. And that's that the monsters in here only attack female characters. So they will actually only target those two, Lena and Ferris. So you have to be very, very astute observer, in my opinion, to get that, to have that pick up for you. Okay. So I'm going to make her a black mage now that she has, she's learned white level 1. I'm going to make her a black mage. So I can use this magic here. I believe the sucker is not weak to bolt type magic, so I think it doesn't matter which one you use on it, but it takes a couple of spells to take out the sucker. And I'm keeping them black mages to, yeah, so not weak there and not weak to ice either, so it does take a couple spells. Because the boss coming up here is weak to lightning elemental magic. So I should be able to just spam lightning elemental magic and knock it out. No problem. And these should be pretty quick. And I'll use Bolt because Bolt's a little bit faster. I think Bolt is the fastest animation of the of those, maybe slightly faster than the other two. And if there isn't a weakness, then you're fine. The ABP, by the way, is the ability points that I'm picking up. And this should trigger the boss sequence. There we go. This is the first of many times that Sildra, our dragon water monster friend, gives himself up for us. Maybe it's a her. I can't remember. Yeah, there's another screen grab. Disease-free. I'll have to put together a collection of the screen grabs in this one that are a little less juvenile and a little less homophobic. A little less racist. All right, there we go. Let's get that taken care of. All right, and here is... Okay, crab. So this is normally Carlibus, and yeah, so there one, that is... so this has been renamed, and that is a paralyzing attack, so that's kind of the... Not a good one to start with. Tail Screw is another bad one, but Crab's exclamation mark is the name of this boss now. And I think it takes about 6 of these bolt spells to take this thing down. And I want everybody alive, because I want everybody to pick up... Yeah, physical attack is the best you can expect, especially to a back row character there. And these guys could all be in the back row, with them being black mages, but I'm going to be reorganizing my party after this anyway, so I did not bother. But I want them all alive so they could all pick up the AP there. And Black Mage is a great party to get, by the way, or a great job to get if you're 4-job Fiesta-ing. Makes this early part of the game really fly by, because you can just hurl magic into a boss's weaknesses like that. And I would say probably in this part we will go through the ship graveyard and fight Siren. That probably will be the end of this part. I'll try to keep these short if I can. I don't want these parts to go on for too long, so if you are looking for a specific scene, I'd like you to be able to find them in a video without having to scrub through 45-plus minute parts. I'm not sure why Sildra was renamed. I'm not sure if that's a reference to somebody. And I'm curious to see what the Discovering Ferris is a Woman sequence is going to look like. Very curious about that. There are a few other references to names of people who I presume are acquaintances of the author or possibly other people who were involved in Zophar's domain back in the early 2000s. They were mentioned, I think, back in the House of Lameness or the House of Lames. That would be the beginner's house to you and me. And I believe I get a free rest. There is a free rest down at the bottom of the ship, but I think I don't have to go down there to start. I think that my MP is full, but I'm going to be doing some job switching here. And I'm going to try to get everybody's black and white magic abilities up. There isn't really any abilities that I want from the Knight or Monk class for later on. There just aren't really any useful things that I'm thinking about for now, but Blue Mage will be good. Yoink, I like that. Exclamation mark yoink, that's a good one. All right, and I need to take off the dagger from Ferris. There we go. Okay. And these other three can just hang out and be black mages in the back row. And he's pretty close to full health. That's fine. And this is good. I do want to take out a couple of skeletons because you can pick up these car cursor things are weak to lightning elemental. Because you can pick up a mithril dagger if you... on a drop. It's a rare drop, I think a 1 in 16 drop from the skeleton. So if you beat a few of these skeletons, you can pick one up. And I'm getting close to learning black level 2 from these guys, at which point I will probably switch them back over to white mages. There we go. Yeah, so there's Lena picked up black level 1. This is where I can find that nice white mage weapon. Down here, it's just kind of a secret area. You have to come down and hit the action button while you're standing on that rock. And that's the flail. So when I do switch over to a white mage again from one of my other characters, I can put the flail there. The flail is a nice back row capable weapon. So it works out nice. We'll do the same sequence here. And Lena does have access to the cure spell, so she can use that if we want to. I'm not going to right now. And again, I won't be fighting all these battles, but I will try to beat up a few skeletons. So if I can get a lucky mithril dagger drop, that will help later. And this one should go pretty much like the last one did. All right, there we go. But again, it's a 1 in 16 dagger drop. And I'll try to, I might just start running away from them after this. Otherwise, this is going to get on the long side of just being in battle, and that's not what we watch these hacks for. We don't want to come see these hacks using fire and bolt. We want to see the text, we want to see the bosses. But this is an interesting part of the game if you are playing in Fiesta mode, because if you have, say, the Thief class, you are really, really scrambling, and then there you do have to sit there. All right, there's a dagger drop. It's not a mithril dagger, I guess. It's just a regular dagger drop. So I do have one dagger already. You start the game with one, so I can put that dagger. I forgot. It's not a mithril dagger. You can steal mithril daggers from some dragons later on before you could normally purchase them. There's the fog effect that you could not really see in the very first emulators of this game, the ZSNES that I played this on. You had to turn off that layer because it could not do the transparency effect correctly. I'll see if I can just beat this quickly. Even with the dagger, she should be able to take... Yep. From the back row, even with that. She should be fine. Oh, and there's another lucky dagger drop. So that's a 1 in 16 drop right there. That's a 1 in 16 drop. Here's what we normally talk about, being scared of getting our feet wet. Yep. All right. And your head pops up when you go up on this barrel, or that box. That's interesting. Interesting effect. Nice chunk of cash right here in that skull box. And there's a few okay treasures in this area. Nothing amazing. And having the thief allows me to do the dash here, so I can get around faster. But I try not to let it waste too many steps. Because that's the drawback of when you are using dash, or if you're using fast forward features and then walking around, you're taking extra steps because you're overshooting your target all the time. There's another dagger. Wow, look at these dagger drops. Holy cow. I do not need to fight one more battle in here. I am totally fine. Oh, this is a nice place to do some early game grinding, because everything in here has a weakness. I think the Undead Rusk, which is supposed to be Undead Husk, I think they're weak to Bolt. The Sack of Weed is a potion, by the way. The Sack of Weed is just a regular old potion. I'm not sure what they are going to call a high potion. All right, here's the sequence where we learn that Ferris is a woman. Let's see what it says. Lena goes away. Yep, there we go. And we gather a few things to make a little fire here. We got a nice little fire sprite like that. And Ferris in this scene is about the same. Lena says, I'm going to go away and change because I'm the woman. Yeah, all right. And then the guys are supposed to be in here saying, oh, yeah, we'll dry off because we're the guys in here. Ferris is a little awkward about it. And I think this is where maybe they make a discovery. I'm not quite sure what's supposed to happen. Maybe they see something. Maybe they get a... Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Galef. Oh, man. I did not think it was going to go that way. Oh, boy. Oh, my. And again, this is timed to the, I think all this text is timed to the thing. That's a pretty cheap joke. Reading on the ROM Hacks forums, the author of this wrote, and I presume this is also being sarcastic, but the author of this wrote that the goal was not to be too childish or juvenile with the humor, and to have the story make sense. And so did one of the reviews of this, talked about it not being too childish or juvenile. But I would disagree with that. I would say this is pretty childish and pretty juvenile. But if that's what you're liking, if that's what you're looking for, then I hope you're enjoying it. Or you're enjoying me being shocked all the time. Maybe that's something you're enjoying. All right, so we're going to save it up. And so the upcoming battle here, there's a boss named Siren, and Siren has a human form and an undead form. And the human, well, quote-unquote human form, casts a lot of magic spells, and the undead form just hammers you with physical attacks. And she switches after every 3 actions that she takes. So the magical form will cast a couple of spells. One of them can be haste, which can really set you back. Haste can really set you back if she does that, because then she goes really quickly through a progression. Or she can slow your character, which is not good. Or she can cast Ice. I think Ice 1. That's also not great, but she'll take 3 actions, and then she changes to Undead. The cool thing about if you have access to Black Mages is that you can just sit in the back row, cast magic at her, regular magic at her while she's in the magic form, the human form, and then cast cure spells on her when she is in her undead form. Or chuck potions at her. That's another thing you can do if you have a weak party. You can just sit in the back row and just chuck potions at her and at yourself all day. Although you're kind of cash poor in this part of the game, so you have to have done a little bit of grinding to save up enough money to buy enough potions. I want to say she has around 600 or 700 hit points, and she has pretty good defense. So, could be scary. Could be scary. I'm going to do some menuing here after this battle, and I'll just not worry about that because I don't want a thief for this fight. Okay, he can have the flail and sit in the back row. She's good as she is. And these guys, I would like them to have access to everything, so I'm just going to actually make them white mages as well. They'll have access to white and black magic, because when you are the class, you get access to everything in that class that you have. And they both have learned black level 1. So they'll have full access to all the spells. All of these characters will have full access to everything we've learned, so no problem. I wish I had the Protect spell, but I do not have that one yet, unfortunately. So it's just going to be a Castapalooza here when we hit the Siren fight. Offensive spells and the occasional cure on our own party during the first... Why did everything turn blue? I like that. There's a good screen grab. That's a good screen grab. Some of these would make good gifts. So I am glad that I am archiving this. I don't love the racist and homophobic stuff in here, but I do like some of the tongue-in-cheek humor. Nope, I'm apparently alive. I like the little meta joke about this sequence, which is pretty silly. And that's definitely a setup. Well, I'm sold. He's not going to steal the souls. Yeah, these... You do see Stella there and King Tycoon, both of whom are supposedly dead at this point. And Galef sees this mystery girl. It is not his mom. It is not his mom. We do not get her name at this point, I don't think. Her name is Kara, but I don't think Galef says her name. Maybe he does. But he doesn't. He has a hard time remembering her, which is why the spell does not influence him. You see? So the spell influences the other 3 because it's a loved one. And I guess by recognizing the loved one, it works on them. But because Galef does not remember who this person is. Ooh, Siren is a hot chick. Also, Siren here is actually Galef's mom. And so Galef, by not being impacted by the spell, is able to kind of wake up his comrades. So far she said a few things that so usually this would be when the battle starts, like now I'll kill you or I will knock you all down. But Galef comes over and kind of knocks his party members back into some kind of sense. And what does this prompt say? I don't think they actually gained a level. That's interesting because they don't gain levels in the system of the game. That's curious. Galef's Ma. All right, so there's haste. So haste is not too bad. Haste is not too bad to pop up. Oh, okay, her magic defense, that's right. Her magic defense is high here. So there isn't really much I can do. At this point in the game, she cures herself anyway. So most of my damage is going to come during the undead sequence. So I'm just going to hold off on that, because she should transform on her next action. There it is. Because she's in haste, you saw how quickly she worked through her progression. And so there's a cure spell. I'm going to knock Ferris awake with that action. Now, luckily, when she changes form, the haste gets reset. So that's good. So you can see we're doing pretty solid damage to her during this sequence. And she just hits really hard with her physical attack. She also uses a move called Bear Hug that poisons you. And normally that's really tough because antidotes are kind of expensive here. But I do have the Purify spell, so I think I can cure poison. But poison is actually pretty devastating to get hit with during this part of the game when you're kind of money poor and item poor. Whoops. Trying to menu too quickly there. There's a wasted cure. And there's Bear Hug. Can I get one more cure off before she transforms back? I'll heal that up when she is in her normal form. Unless I actually get the kill here. I'm not sure if I can get quite enough damage in to get the kill, because she should be transforming. Oh, no, Bear Hug again. All right, so we should be good to finish this one off. And then I can just heal us up outside of battle. I guess I miscounted the number of moves. And poison is really bad when you have a drawn-out battle like this that goes on for a while, but it's not so bad when you can pour damage into the boss like that. The bronze shield is nice if you've got a knight, but we do not have a knight. Okay, so Siren is Galef's mom. That's curious. That'll be a nice screen grab. So these are the things I'm happy about discovering in this patch. Those are the things that I'm happy to see pop up. Not as excited to see some of the less PC things popping up, but we should be just fine. And with that, we can exit out onto the world map, and that will be it for this segment. Next time, we will go up the mountain to rescue our Windrake and make our way over towards the Water Crystal. If you like this video, or even if you think this video is interesting, even if you disagree with the content like I do sometimes, feel free to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, look through the history. I've got lots of other ROM hacks and various videos of Final Fantasy 1, Final Fantasy 5, and many other games here on the channel. Leave a comment and let me know what you think, and suggest other runs and ROM hacks that you would like to see. I do like to archive various ROM hacks and let's play them so that people who want to experience them but don't have time to learn them and go through them can do so right here on YouTube. Get in touch with me on Twitter, where I'm also active _ATE. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.